In this video, we consider the topic of studying for university-level courses. Most people are familiar with studying as a concept, having probably had to study for some quizzes or exams in high school. However, to succeed in university-level coursework, it's usually necessary to take your study skills to the next level. First, let's talk about some common misconceptions about study. Study is not simply reading or even rereading course materials. That's something you should certainly do, but it's not the same as studying. Sometimes reading course materials is something that you'll have to do anyway because of the way the course is organized. It may be that you're required to read certain things for the class so that you can discuss them later in the class. For example, that happens a lot in humanities classes. You'll be asked to read a book or a short story or an essay so that you can discuss it in class. Sometimes there isn't enough time during the class period to go over all the material that's part of the course, and so your instructor may assign reading to you that you're responsible for doing, and that is part of the course material that you will be tested on. Other times it's important to read because perhaps you have readings or a textbook that go over some of the same material that's covered in class, but it's done from a different perspective. So reading materials is not necessarily something that is redundant. It usually is not redundant to what you're doing in class. Studying is not rereading course notes either. It is useful to do that, but that's not enough. It's also not highlighting text in the course textbook or even in class notes. It's also not memorizing definitions or terms used in the course subject. All of these activities are helpful or even necessary, but they are not the same as studying. Why is this true? It's because the true goal of studying is to gain mastery of course material. It means understanding and internalizing key course concepts. Here are some ways to do this. For example, to prepare for an exam, you can make up a study guide. High school teachers will sometimes provide study guides to students, but university instructors seldom do. A study guide is a somewhat detailed outline of course content that should be studied to prepare for an exam, usually organized by topic. Having to make up a study guide forces a student to go through course material carefully, judge what's important, and summarize the key points succinctly. Another way to study is to tutor other students. Having to explain material to someone else helps to clarify one's own understanding. Other techniques of study depend on the nature of the course material. For non-technical subjects, that is, ones that are qualitative rather than quantitative, such as humanities or most of the social sciences, expanding on the study guide idea, taking all the course material that will be on a given exam, and organizing and summarizing it is one way to study. Also, figuring out what the overarching concepts or big ideas of the course are is helpful. Considering them in relation to each other, how they are similar and different, will help you when it comes time to answering essay questions on exams. For technical subjects, quizzes and exams often consist of problems to be solved, usually mathematically. A good way to study for such subjects is to work through example problems, making sure that you understand each step. Studying for university courses isn't just about going through material in the time leading up to an exam. The best way to be successful is to follow the study cycle. First, if possible, preview course material before you attend class. This isn't difficult to do if there is a schedule of reading listed in the course plan. If you don't have this, you can ask the instructor what is planned for upcoming classes. You may think this is unnecessary and that you may skip a reading before class because the professor covers the same material in class, but doing so misses a key opportunity to learn in different modes. Here that would be reading and listening, and to benefit from the repetition and distributed practice that you'll get from both reading ahead and attending class. Understanding the importance of all stages of this cycle will help make sure you don't miss opportunities to learn effectively. Next, you'll attend class, taking notes on what is said. Take notes by writing on paper rather than typing on a laptop. Studies have shown that students are far more likely to retain what they write longhand than what they type. Also, you will be less tempted to switch tabs during class to some website that will take your attention away from what's happening in class. As soon as possible after class, read through your notes. This will help you to retain what was covered in class. You can use it as an opportunity to correct errors, add in details you didn't have time to write, or rewrite illegible parts. If you wait too long to do this, you may not remember the class session clearly enough to fix your notes. Next, study with the goal of increasing in mastery of the material. Don't worry if you don't feel like you understand and know all of it the first time. It will probably take several iterations of the study cycle to gain any level of mastery. If there is some concept you don't understand, seek clarification. This might mean searching in the textbook to find an explanation, or asking a classmate who might have understood the idea you're struggling with, or going to the instructor's office hours to help clear things up. Let's say that the task at hand is a project or homework assignment. Rather than having to face the dreaded project for 4 hours the day before it's due, you can face the dreaded projects for, say, 30 minutes each day. The shorter, more consistent time to work on a dreaded project is likely to be more attractive and less likely to be delayed to the last minute. This approach also works especially well for classes that involve math, language, or music. It leads to better understanding of material. Furthermore, it's very hard to concentrate for long periods of time. It's best to work for chunks of time, taking scheduled breaks. Knowing that you'll get breaks, which you really do need, will help you to begin studying, which is often the hardest step. If you do have to memorize terms and definitions, flashcards are a good way to go. Quizzing yourself for a few minutes at a time, several times a day, will help you to retain this information. Flashcards are one form of self-testing. Other ways to self-test are to work through examples presented in class and to go over relevant quizzes and assignments. Working with a study partner is helpful, as partners can hold each other accountable. Don't hesitate to approach other students for this, even if you think they have already mastered course material. Everyone benefits from reviewing, and other students are very likely to welcome the suggestion to work together. In studying for courses that involve problem solving, such as math, natural science, computer science, and engineering courses, it's not just a matter of being able to reproduce the solution to an example problem, but to understand why each step was taken. In fact, if your time is limited, working problems is more important than reading the textbook, unless, of course, you're working through example problems from the textbook. The instructor will probably demonstrate how to solve multiple example problems in class. Be sure to write down the solution as it unfolds. Don't substitute taking a picture of the solution worked out on the board or of getting the instructor's slides. It doesn't replace your writing it out yourself. As you write out the solution to a given problem, or after class, annotate each step, meaning write little notes to yourself to help you understand any steps that aren't obvious. If you can't keep up with this in class, write as much of the solution as you can and make sure you write down the final answer. The answer isn't the most important part of the problem, but later on, when you're reviewing your notes and working through this example, you will know what the destination is that you should be aiming for in working your solution. It's very important to do as many problems as possible to prepare for an exam. Understanding the steps will help you to be able to do problems that are based on the same concepts, but that are not exactly the same. Plan to study in the best possible circumstances. For example, schedule times for study. 30 to 60-minute blocks are ideal. Scheduling is especially important when working with a partner. It will not only mean you're more likely to get together, but you can plan how to use the appointed time more effectively if it's scheduled. Consider the best time of day for you to study, along with the location. A low traffic area where you have room to spread out materials, say on a table, can be very effective. Have something to drink with you so that you stay hydrated. The location doesn't have to be silent, but it should be quiet. Many people think they can multitask, but most of them really can't. In order to successfully study, it's important to remove as many distractions as possible. This means you should avoid using a computer in any way. Of course, it may be necessary to access a textbook or set of tables in PDF form, but generally speaking, it's better to close your laptop and work from written notes and a physical textbook. Put your phone in airplane mode so that you don't need to worry about being interrupted. You can set an alarm on your phone to help you pace yourself. Consider working for 45 or 50 minutes, followed by a 10-minute break. Put everything away that you don't need for your study session. Anything extraneous is a potential distraction. Now it's time to take the points covered in the video and formulate an action plan for studying through the rest of this semester and beyond. Implement your plan. Try it for a week, and then reassess. What has worked well? What has not? Make adjustments and try again the next week. You'll understand your strengths and weaknesses better, and any success you have, and you will have success, should encourage you to keep going and aim to do better the next week. It may be helpful to talk with your advisor about how it's going as well, and you may get some new ideas from the discussion on how to cultivate and improve your study habits.